I will go ahead and start to honor all of those who are able to come on time. My name is Petra Sultan. I'm the Senior Director of Programs for Thrive, the Alliance of Nonprofits for San Mateo County. And I just want to start by kind of acknowledging the hard time that San Mateo County has been going through between the flooding and the tragedy in Half Moon Bay. It's been hard to focus. So I just wanted to really acknowledge that and then acknowledge the community that we have and how grateful I am for the strength of the community. We today are going to be talking about funding streams and partnerships. And we're happy to be here with our partners, Rubie, Acosta, Macaraeg, and Niambi Clay from the San Mateo County Office of Education, Petra Houts from the Stanford Haas School, and then of course my colleague Kirsten Scheidegg. So we appreciate all of you here. And for today's presentation, we're going to start with Rubie and Niambi, who are going to be talking really about the funding streams, and then Petra is going to lead some breakout sessions on our collaboration. And just as a look forward as to what we're doing in the Children in Education tag, we are this month going to be talking about this funding and partnerships. In February, we're going to be giving feedback to the San Mateo County Office of Ed on their strategic direction. So I think that's a fantastic opportunity to hear from the CBOs. And then in March, we'll be doing the second part for our partnerships in education. So many of you were with us for the first convening, the summit that we had in September. And the second part will be in March. And today you'll have an opportunity to have input as to what you would like that to look like. And then in April, we'll be meeting with Stanford and the Haas Center and talking about more collaboration and more partnerships. So maybe you're seeing a theme here. I'd like to talk a little bit about some things coming up at Thrive, so you know some more about what we're doing here at the Alliance of Nonprofits. So this afternoon, we're going to be talking about the flooding, but specifically about how green infrastructure and other community-based solutions can really help both with the environment and with avoiding these catastrophic events. And then we'd also like to invite you on February 7th to our next event, which is with the county. So this is for all nonprofits. And we hope that we can really get a good showing of at least 2 people from every nonprofit to talk about our relationship with the county. And we'll have presentations from Thrive about what the nonprofit landscape is looking like right now. And we'll also have presentations from the county, from Shireen, our Chief Equity Officer, and from Mike Callaghy, the county exec, and the county is hosting this for us. It's going to be the San Mateo County Events Center, and we hope you can join us. You can find all of this on Thrive's website as usual. You can also find it in our newsletters. If you haven't signed up for our newsletters, we have a newsletter specifically for partner events, which you can put your own events into, called the Thrive Weekly, and then we have other monthly newsletters. So please go to our website to sign up for those. If you have any questions, you can ask Kirsten, who's on the call. Also, please introduce yourself in the chat. As you're introducing yourself, we'd love to hear which organization you're with and also what geography you serve, because sometimes we don't actually know that. And it's great for you all to be able to talk to each other. So another thing that I want to, let you know that Thrive is doing is we have a new COAD, it's called the Thrive Rise, Resilience in Shared Emergencies. So we have been reacting to a lot of these emergencies and making connections and working with people. If you have any needs around the emergencies, please let us know and see if we can connect you to the right people. But know that we are definitely a resource when there are disasters locally. And one thing that I just want to let you know about is that there are comfort dogs that are available to go to to a school, to first responders, to people who have been affected by any of these tragedies, and we're happy to make that connection. So we have other resources as well. That's just one of my favorites. So with that, I want to turn this over to Rubie and Niambi to start their presentation. But please continue to introduce yourselves in chat. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Niambi Clay. I'm the Executive Director of Equity, Social Justice, and Inclusion at the San Mateo County Office of Ed. Rubie, I don't know if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself right now.
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Rubie Acosta Macaraeg. I'm the coordinator of expanded learning and community partnerships here at the county office. It's so great to see so many familiar faces and new ones as well. Thank you, Petra, for the introduction. Niambi and I would also like to encourage, if you all have questions as we're going through our presentation, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, and then we'll collect them and be sure to answer them via like an FAQ or send them out directly. And so, Kirsten, I think we can get started.
So Rubie and I wanted to start today with just kind of an overview of what a county office of education does. Not everyone knows what a county office of education does, and so we just wanted to start with a really short video. You can also find this video on our website, but just to share with you what it is that we actually do, and then I'll talk a little bit about SMCOE specifically.
What exactly does a county office of education do, and how does its role differ from your local school district? Let's take a look. California's public education system consists of 3 levels: state, county, and local. Regulations, funding, and fundamental policy are established at the state level, while the day-to-day education of students is the responsibility of individual school districts at the local level. County offices of education, or COEs, represent another level, providing an important support system for school districts in their counties and serving as a liaison with the state. While COEs do not directly oversee or govern individual school districts, they do provide valuable support and services that are essential to local school district operations. For example, each of California's 58 county offices of education share a common function to ensure school districts in their counties are fiscally accountable and solvent. They also approve school district local control accountability plans, or LCAPs, provide professional development opportunities, and assist districts with academic performance initiatives. Most COEs also directly serve their county's most vulnerable student populations, including students who have been expelled from their home district, students who are incarcerated or are on probation, homeless and foster youth, students with severe special needs, and early learners through a network of state-funded preschools. A multitude of additional supports are offered by many county offices, some of which include hosting student events and competitions, student enrichment, residential outdoor education programs, and much more. Each county office of education is overseen by a county superintendent of schools. In all but 5 counties, the superintendent is a publicly elected official who runs the COE. Each county also has an elected county board of education, whose responsibilities include approving charter schools and hearing intra-district transfer and expulsion appeals. The county board also approves the COE budget and local control accountability plan, but has no authority over individual school districts. For parents and students, your local school district is the most relevant agency for policies and decisions impacting your child's education. A school district's governance team is composed of the school district administration and a locally elected board of trustees. Local school boards have broad power to approve and create budgets, hire district superintendents, develop and select curricula aligned with the state's standards, and set district-level policies, including those related to facilities as well as health and safety. In California, our system is designed to have the decisions that most affect your child be made at the local level, where you can have your voice heard. What exactly does a county office of
Sorry about that. Thank you. And apologies for the glitchiness of the video. This video, like I said, is also on our website. So if you need to re-see it again, you can go there to see it. What you see here is shared in the video is that the County Office of Ed provides direct services to our local school districts, as well as support You can click it, Kirsten. We know that our CBOs also provide direct services to our school districts. And so with that, we want to make sure that we're supporting you all as well. Kirsten, you can click it one more time. And so on a kind of high level, the ways that we can support you all is really around that relationship development and introducing you, connecting you to our districts. We can support with funding, which is what this session is about today, but also around professional development as well. We do a lot of curriculum alignment with our districts, and we know that research says, you know, extended programs and out of school programs really should be aligned with the school day to have the most impact. And so if you need support around alignment with your programs with the school day, we can help with that as well. So professional development is something that we can support you all with. Kirsten, you can click next slide. I won't go through, the next 3 slides are kind of specifically for SMCOE. I won't go through each of the bullets, but like I said, again, a big part of our support is around curriculum and instruction. So if you need support around that as you work with our districts, please let us know. Next slide. Our main kind of responsibility is around compliance, financial compliance. So we do a lot of financial support for our districts, our business services team. And so that's a big part of what the COE does. And then the last slide for my section shows you that we do a lot of other support as well. We try to make sure that equity is infused in all of our programs, both internally as well as when we're working with our partners, really making sure our schools are safe and supportive. But the last bullet is not the least bullet, but we also really want to help promote and facilitate our expanded learning. We know it really supports our students and our schools. And so whatever we can do around that is what we're here to support with. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rubie, who will talk a little more about our expanded learning. Thank you.
And just to add to what Niambi presented, our office really is going in the direction of creating innovative programs and curriculum that's based on current educational research, current educational equity research. And we also do big picture alignment. So zooming out from one particular district to aligning elementary, middle, and high school programs to post-secondary opportunities, working with our community colleges at a higher level. And so we really are interested in intervening upon the equity gaps that we see across the county. So you'll hear us talk a lot about sort of that big picture zoomed out in a lot of our presentations across our office. So this is the expanded learning definition from the state, as it says. And something I want to emphasize and point out is that districts are really leaning into this funding stream as it has been rolled out in the last 6 or 7 months. The system does move at its own unique pace and speed, probably not as quickly as we all would like it to move in, but everyone is coming along and excited to really think about student outcomes through the lens of aligning the school day with the after school time, particularly summer. And so they've been hiring folks to implement and build relationships at the district's level. I've been getting a lot of requests for support in this area, which is great. And they're still in the process of layering all the funding streams. So in a second, we're going to see a slide with all the funding streams in one place. And it does take some time and strategy to be able to leverage all of the funding streams. And so with ELOP, it's actually given the districts the ability to think a little bit broader and to add other stakeholders into their educational plan. My role is really to help facilitate partnerships and strengthen them. I'm sorry, everybody calls me the matchmaker, right? So I play that role as well. And I advocate on both sides on behalf of you all and of course our youth. So if you need support with a particular partnership, definitely reach out to me and I can facilitate that conversation. I also liaise with other county agencies. So again, it's like representing this expanded learning lens to the larger group of constituencies and stakeholders within our county. Kirsten, you can go to the next slide. So this is the literally moneymaker slide, right? So this kind of goes over all of the expanded learning funding streams. And for the high school folks on the call, this applies to you as well. So during COVID, we had ELOG. So this is the Expanded Learning Opportunities Grant. Now that sunsetted in last school year, which when was ELOP got introduced. And this funding stream serves TK to 6th grade. This will be ongoing. Districts currently aren't being audited for the way they're using this funding stream, but they will starting next year. So you'll see a little bit more of accountability rolling out from the state on what they'd like to see this money being used towards. ACES. ACES is another funding stream that funds elementary and middle school programs. The RFA for that is actually out right now for next year. So that's due on February 10th. For our high school folks again, and also middle school folks, there's funding streams in CTE, career technical education, that can go to fund expanded learning in college and career exploration at the middle school level. So there's 2 streams in that sort of bucket, and that's the CTIG grant and K-12 strong workforce. There's also going to be another funding stream coming out for CTE, and that's the Golden State Pathways program. 21st Century Community Learning Centers and Assets. So this goes to fund middle school programs and also high school programs for expanded learning. I really wanted to emphasize this for all of our high school folks on the call because we currently have no high school districts that have this grant. And we can talk more about what that looks like individually. Or if you like, we can do like a high school expanded learning kind of overview at another meeting. What I will spend a lot of time talking to you all about is our Community Schools Partnerships Initiative, which is rolling out as we speak. And then finally, very graciously, the County of San Mateo has offered summer enrichment grants for last summer and then this coming summer, and then also they did a round of expanded learning during the school year. So I kind of wanted to pause here in case anyone had any sort of general or high level questions about these funding streams. And if you have any individual questions that go towards your organization or something you're thinking about, definitely put that in the chat, or you can schedule an office hour time with me. All right, as questions come up, please feel free to interrupt. Kirsten, you can go to the next slide. Awesome. So community school partnerships. This is something that Niambi and I are really, we have both worked in community schools on the community partner side and on the school side. And we are really excited about this initiative because it's explicitly an equity and social justice initiative coming down from the state. So in our county, the Redwood City School District has really been a pioneer in community schools. They've been highlighted at the Learning Policy Institute as an exemplar. And we have other districts who are moving towards this model, which I'll talk about in a second. Next slide, please. So a community school, like I said, is explicitly an equity and social justice based approach to education. It really emphasizes the education of the whole child in a holistic approach. So we're going to watch a really short video to really look at what this initiative is.
What makes a school a great school? Caring for the whole child. Expanding the horizons of learning. Building relationships with families. Working together to realize a shared vision. This is the school every student needs. This is a community school. Community schools are public schools that partner with stakeholders to create the conditions students need to thrive. Community schools can be found across the United States, and their numbers are growing fast. But what exactly makes a school a community school? They integrate student supports. Clinics, counselors, and other services ensure each and every student is ready to learn. They expand and enrich learning. Extended school days, summer programs, and real-world experiences help students reach their full potential. They engage families and communities. Partnering with residents to identify and meet community needs makes everyone feel safe, welcome, and involved in school. They lead in collaboration. Inclusive decision-making and peer learning builds trust among students, educators, families, and communities. When a school stands on these 4 pillars, it's a community school. Research supports this 4-pillar approach, but there's no one-size-fits-all model. Every community school is different because each community is different. Figuring out what it looks like in your community starts by getting actual community members involved. That's the full-time job of community school coordinators. They're the human bridge connecting all the partners and stakeholders that make community schools possible. So that's what makes a school a community school. Now, how do you pay for it? Startup costs like hiring a full-time coordinator can be raised from foundations or state and local governments. Tapping into existing funding and partnering with local businesses can bring in service providers. Sharing resources and staff with partners can help everyone do more. And as a community school becomes more established, leaders can advocate for budgets that sustain their impact and new funding to expand it. Every community school is different. What will yours be like? Get started at communityschools.futureforlearning.org.
Yay! So I personally and professionally really love community schools because in our social justice and equity work, this is an example of how you can dismantle an oppressive system or an institutionalized system, right? Is that you're really, every decision is at the site with stakeholders included in that. And it's really about bringing the school back to the community. And that it's driven by that collaborative effort. And so this is the Community Schools Partnerships Framework. There's a lot written on here. What I really want to emphasize is that this is the work that you all are already doing. So where in the last year in this position, what I've really seen is that we don't have a strong infrastructure for partnerships. And what Community Schools Initiative does is really bring resources and the capacity of schools and districts to think really broadly about what the community values are and how we can bring that into the school. So expanded learning is one of the 4 pillars of this initiative, in that it opens up access to our youth and families of the different kind of options that are available to them. It also aligns professional development from the school date into the expanded learning space. And again, aligned student outcomes is really what we are looking for here. Another really big piece of the framework that I want to emphasize is shared leadership and decision-making. And so because this initiative really lives at the school site, you have an opportunity to get really intimately involved into how the community school is going to be built, and also have more say and support in how the school allocates funding and resources. The community schools are using an asset-based approach, right? So that means that racial, cultural, and multilingual development for the school and the community is emphasized. It's an aligned vision for a site. And like I said, it opens up access to resources and supports for youth, families, and community-based organizations, creating a coordinated plan for care and resources, and also that wraparound holistic approach to education. Another thing I'd like to point out is that parent and family services are a really key part of a community school. So parenting classes, health services, dental services, digital citizenship, etc., is not only available to youth, but also their family. The next couple slides, Kirsten, you can sort of just move through these, really dissect each of the 4 pillars. And I'm not going to go over them, but they're here for your reference. The mental health services are a really important part in a community school, being able to offer that to every student and family. And then on slide 15, so I think you can go one more slide, Kirsten, are the 4 pillars and the connection to other statewide priorities. Next slide, please. So funding profile, that's supposed to say profile. 4.1 billion is directed to LEAs from the state. We've had 1 round of funding that happened last year, which was the first round. So Ravenswood School District received a multi-million-dollar implementation grant. San Mateo Foster City School District was awarded a $200,000 planning grant for 2 years. The second round of funding came out this year. So the planning grant for the RFA was released in November and it was due in December. We had a pretty good amount of districts, I think it was around 5 to 7, who applied for this grant and who are thinking about community schools. So within that time, in the next 2 years, they're going to be reaching out to you all to help build out the plan for when they implement their community school. The implementation grants RFA literally hot off the press from yesterday. It was released January 24th, but they didn't send it out until yesterday, and it's due March 30th. There's going to be a 3rd round of funding and a 4th year, but it's only going to be for implementation grants moving forward. What I really want to emphasize about this funding profile is that it can go to build community schools at the elementary school district, at the middle school level, and also at the high school level. Next slide, please. So this is the funding for the planning and implementation grants. So the planning grant is, again, $200K over 2 years. And the implementation grant is up to $2.5 million over 5 years, and that's based on size. So as you can see here in this chart, very small schools can get $150,000 per year for the first 4 years, and then in the 5th year, it decreases a little bit to $112,500, which totals over the 5 years to $712,500. That's for very small. And you can sort of see the different funding levels for the size of the particular school. I want to point out that this funding is mostly used for infrastructure in a sustainable way. So it's going to be used to strengthen partnerships, coordinate services, have a targeted approach for youth and families who really need the resources. This also gives an opportunity for schools and districts to have the opportunity to be more transparent about their budget. So we encourage all of you community-based organizations to be part of the shared leadership process in the planning and implementation stage. Again, wanting to emphasize the importance that this is site-based. So more direct services and budgeting rather than at the district level, which can sometimes be a little bit more nebulous. Next slide, please. So here is more information about the community schools initiative that you have access to if you want to peruse the whole initiative. And then lastly, Kirsten, next slide, please. I would really encourage you all to sign up for a site visit. With me, I'm going out into the field a lot to look at programs, be in the community, meet all the wonderful youth development folks that are offering really important services. I just went to Edmo recently, had an amazing opportunity to see their programs. And we're going to be doing a lot of communications and outreach. So highlighting our CBOs for our districts to start to bridge those partnerships. Also, if I come out to see your program, I can in more detail speak to the strengths of the program, what's being offered, how you develop your workforce and staffing model. Those are some of the things that I look for. Also, if you have any questions or you would like to talk longer, which I'm happy to do, you can sign up for office hours on that link as well. And just wanted to echo Petra at the beginning. We're going to be coming to you all with our strategic plan for your feedback, which is super important. We consider you all a really important stakeholder in the work and want to make sure that you all have a voice in the direction that the county office goes into. And then March, we'll be hosting again a CBO and district mixer. And this is really for districts and community-based organizations to get to know one another in person and think about partnerships for the next school year for community schools, but also for expanded learning. So also taking that sort of power building mentality into our work.
Rubie, you do have one question in the chat. Kate asked, what do you see as the greatest barrier to making this happen broadly across our schools and districts in San Mateo County?
Yes, so this is an excellent question. And for community schools in particular, they are a really big lift. Schools and districts will have to think in a totally different paradigm on how the school operates, right? So oftentimes community schools will open early and then they'll close really late, like 8 or 9. And so on that piece, that takes a lot of people power to operate and logisticize. The logistics will have to change a little bit in terms of operations. Secondly, something that we're facing in our county is a huge workforce gap problem for our schools, districts, and as you all know, our community-based organizations. So while there is a lot of funding coming down from the state, the big question we'll all have to answer together actually is, how do we staff our community schools? So those are the two things that come to mind right now. And yes, to sort of wanted to point out what Hillary Paulson said in the chat. As a former trustee for the Redwood City School District, the balance between principal and community school coordinator is delicate and has to be clearly delineated at the start of the relationship. Yes, absolutely. And then Rod asked in the chat, after 5 years, would there be funding to continue the coordination and staffing? Currently, they tell us yes. And a lot can happen in 5 years, right? So for example, our county office is getting a coordinator position to help with the implementation of community schools in our county, and that's guaranteed for 1 or 2 years, but it was intended for 5. All right. Again, I encourage you to sign up for a site visit with me, and then also office hours. I'm so happy to see high school folks on this call. I can follow up with you individually or as a group. I'm going to pass it over to Petra.
Thank you so much, Rubie. I too am really excited about community schools. It's been something that has been of interest of mine for a long time. I've seen it, as all things have challenges and successes. So we are going to make a slight transition right now to talking about our continued partnerships between our nonprofit, community-based organization, stakeholders, and districts. So back in September, on the 22nd of 2022, what a fun date, we hosted our first summit, bringing everyone together to have conversations. Sorry, I'm looking this way because that's where you all are, but having conversations about what it means to be in partnership and collaborative together. And we had around 80 guests at this event, and we focused on really pulling together the stories from you all of what has been happening at your sites and what have some of the challenges been and successes in partnership. After the event, we heard a lot from people around, interest in learning how to better communicate with districts. Really, the emphasis of kind of the learning was around relationships matter, and that they're the root of building trust. And so we're really starting to think about how do we continue that development and those opportunities to build relationship, because that, at least in my experience on the community partner side, has always been really difficult. The people want more opportunities to connect with each other. So again, this opportunity to build relationships and interest in time to prepare and collaborate around summer needs. As we move forward, Petra noted earlier, next month in February, we will have opportunities to talk to the district. And then in March, we're hoping to bring everyone together again. As part of that, we're really curious about how we can make this the most impactful for you all in this room. And so we wanted to take a little time to gather some of that feedback. We thought that might be best in some breakout rooms. And so we have 2 core questions that we're going to be addressing today. So the first, and we'll put these in the chat in just a moment. If you were given 2 hours to come back as a group, what would you want to do with other partners and district staff? And what would you want to get out of that experience? And the second is, kind of in the next 3 months, what do you need, want to know, and or want to share with partners? So really thinking about, if you're a district representative, what do you hope to learn from, our community-based organizations, and community-based organizations, what do we hope to learn from districts? And what do we want to impart with them? Please feel free to share other ideas in this time together about what that time could look like and do.